My name is Tiffany McCrary, and this is my Project 6. For this project, we were asked to create a visual presentation about our journey throughout this course. We were asked to explore and differentiate internet tools, applications, and resources, as well as identify our top internet tool, application, and resource. In addition, we were also asked to discuss any challenges, any lessons learned, and advice for future students that we may have. My journey throughout this course has been about learning, exploring, and growing. We first started this course off by identifying exactly what are internet tools, applications, and resources. Then we went on to explore examples of each. Lastly, we gained experience by being able to have practice using and implementing these different internet tools, applications, and resources. Each project required more and more of us every week. All of the projects that have been completed throughout the duration of this course have made a major contribution to the completion of my journey, which is Project 6. For Project 1, we were asked to create a presentation using Office Mix to teach an educational concept. This project was fairly easy because I am familiar with PowerPoint, so Office Mix being an add-on was just the icing on the cake. It allowed me to add video recordings, audio recordings, as well as sound, screen recordings, and things like that. I plan to use Office Mix actually this year. At my school, we're having an open house, and it's just going to be an open door policy where parents can come in between the hours of 12 to 5. By using Office Mix, I can just create a presentation explaining everything in detail with my parents so that I'm not having to start myself over each time a new group comes in. All I have to do is press play on my recording and they can sit and watch, and if they came in late and they missed something, they can stay a couple of minutes extra to catch the presentation when it starts over. Project 2 called for us to use Powtoons to create an animation that described our job search experience. Project 2 was probably one of my favorite projects because it allowed us to be creative, and it actually was fun for me in the process of making my creation. I actually plan to use Powtoons in my classroom this year as well. The curriculum that we use at my school is creative curriculum, so it gives us the freedom to be as creative as we want to be. And with me teaching 4 and 5-year-olds, it's very important that I'm always doing something that's going to keep them engaged and get their attention span. So I plan to use Powtoons to introduce each unit to them by creating some type of animation that relates to the theme or the topic that we're discussing. And by doing so, I already have their attention, so when I'm ready to actually teach the content, they'll be interested and they'll be willing to learn it. Project 3 called for us to use an application called Comic Life to make a comic strip about a childhood memory that had a lesson. I only had one issue with Comic Life, and that was the application ran slow on my laptop. This caused delays in me being able to make any type of edits to my comic strip, but I still see the potential that it has to be a great application to use. I would like to try to implement it into my classroom this year. I plan to use it to create catchy flyers that explain school events that we may be having. I also plan to share this as an option for my parents to create projects with our students. This will be something different, and it will be able to get the students exposed to using different types of technology. They can use it to create pages for All About Me books. They can use it to create postcards for family vacations of things that they saw and activities that they did. I also plan to use it as a tool for small group. With my students, we do a lot of creative writing and story making, and this will be a great way to teach them how to sequence stories with telling the beginning, the middle, as well as the end. For Project 4, we were asked to use Alice 3 to create an animation describing our experience in developing a professional identity. This project was difficult for me, probably one of the most difficult for me, because of the fact that I had to learn how to code the animations to get them to move a certain way or to turn a certain way. So that was very challenging for me, but it was still a very fun application to learn how to use. With Alice 3, the ideas that I have for using it with my classroom are to bring my students' creative writing to life. With 4 and 5-year-olds, they create some of the wildest stories, and Alice 3 has all types of themes and props and characters that I feel that my students would be able to relate to and would enjoy being able to use those in their stories and bring their stories to life. For Project 5, we were asked to create a website using Weebly to showcase different internet tools, applications, resources, and tutorials. This was probably my favorite project because it's something that I definitely can take away and use. I plan to use this as a resource page for my colleagues and add to it throughout the year. I also plan to use Weebly to create a website to keep my parents in the know about things that are going on in our classroom. I plan to upload pictures, post about different school events and field trips, as well as put any forms that they may need to complete and return on there, so that if they lose the paper information, they'll always have an online resource that they can refer to so that they still have these items on hand. My top tool of choice would be email. Email allows me to communicate on the go. It is easily accessible on any device that has internet access, such as your desktop computer, laptops, tablets, your phones, and if you're fancy enough and own one, even an Apple Watch. Email allows me to communicate in my professional and my personal life. I'm able to communicate with my coworkers, my students and their parents, as well as my classmates, and I'm also able to communicate with my family and friends who live in distant places. My top application would be Google Docs. Google Docs allows for simultaneous collaboration. I have used Google Docs to collaborate on assignments with my classmates, and this year I would like for my colleagues and I to be able to collaborate when creating lesson plans. I like the accessibility of Google Docs. By having to carry around a jump drive, you go through the hassle of not being able to lose it or forget it. Having Google Docs, you're able to access your documents virtually from anywhere that has internet access. My top resource would be Teachers Pay Teachers. I absolutely love Teachers Pay Teachers. A lot of the times we run into the problem of finding ideas and activities that are from people who have been out of the classroom for years or that are disconnected with the current teaching practices and the strategies that we're using. What I like about Teachers Pay Teachers is the activities and the ideas are posted by current teachers who have actually used these activities in their classrooms. You can find any activity or idea for any subject, any topic, and any grade level. I also like that Teachers Pay Teachers has an option for you to find ideas for decorations and themes for your classroom. All of these items are available for free, or they can be purchased for a small cost, which goes directly to the teacher who created them. One of my main challenges that I had throughout the duration of this course was trying not to procrastinate. Being a teacher and being on summer break, it was very easy for me to want to relax and go on vacation and just enjoy being off work. I was still able to do these things, but I had to make sure that I prioritized and I stayed on task so that I could complete my assignments by the deadline, as well as do them in a timely manner so that if I ran into any troubleshooting, that I would be able to resolve those issues ahead of time. I have learned so many lessons throughout the duration of this course. The first lesson that I learned is that my classmates are the best teachers. I have learned so many new tools, applications, and resources that I had never even heard of. I appreciate my classmates sharing their experiences with them and how they implement them in their professional and their personal life. I've also learned to find a way to make things work for you. Initially, we had so many assignments that I felt like were geared towards older students. I didn't feel like they applied to my pre-K students who were aged 4 and 5. But I didn't want to let everything that I'd learned go to waste, so I found a way to make them work in my classroom. I can use Office Mix to create presentations for my parents. I can use Powtoons to make my lessons more engaging for my students. I can even share Comic Life with the parents as an option for them to use to create projects. So even though my students may not be able to use these tools and applications on their own, they'll still be able to experience them in the classroom. I've also learned throughout this course that it's very important to follow the rubric. The rubric tells you everything that you need to include in your assignments and discussions, as well as what's going to be graded. I have 3 points of advice for future students. Number 1 is do not procrastinate. Make sure you stay on task and that you prioritize and get your assignments done in a timely manner. This course for me was during the summertime, so it's very intensive, but I can only imagine having to complete this course during the fall or the spring when I am actually at work and having to teach my students and stay abreast with my professional duties. Point number 2 is to follow the rubric. I know that a lot of times we may go to ratemyprofessor.com to see the comments that people who have taken this course prior to us may have, but those comments are not true. This is not a hard course. If you follow the rubric, which tells you everything that needs to be included in your assignments and what you will be graded on, you will do just fine. My third point of advice is to communicate with the professors and your classmates. This is a learning environment. This is a community for us to learn from each other and to share what we know. Don't be afraid to ask questions and seek help and seek advice from others who have experience with everything that we're having to do in this course. Overall, this has been a great experience. Yes, this course was demanding, and yes, it was very time consuming, but in the end, it was so worth it. This has been one of the most beneficial courses that I have taken at the University of West Georgia. I have learned so many things from Dr. Balin as well as my classmates. The things that I have learned are actually practical, and I feel as though I will really be able to use them in my professional and my personal life. I am very appreciative of all the things that have been shared throughout this course, and I'm very excited about what's ahead.